I believe we're at 13
Are you ready?
at least, yes. Okay.
Quorum being present, the Committee on Education and the Workforce will come to order. Given time constraints, I would ask that members insert any written statements into the record. I'll hold the record open until the end of the day in order to accommodate those members who may not have prepared written statements. I now recognize myself. Well, good morning. Here we go. I'd like to begin by welcoming our new and returning members and staff to the first meeting of the House Education and Workforce Committee. This morning we will consider the committee's rules and oversight plan for the 114th Congress. Today marks the beginning of what promises to be a very busy 2 years. We all know the challenges that our country continues to face: an anemic economy that isn't creating enough good-paying jobs, a broken education system that is failing to meet the needs of many students, and a lack of retirement security for millions of hardworking Americans. These are just a few of the problems that continue to plague workers, students, teachers, job creators, and they are the problems this committee must work to address. The American people are looking for solutions that will move the country in a better direction and help make their lives a little easier. They want less bickering and more results. That's precisely what the committee aims to do. We will continue to have our differences and engage in lively discussions about important issues. Debate is a good thing, and the committee will remain a forum for members, stakeholders, and concerned citizens to share their views and offer ideas. We will also move forward with bold reforms to strengthen our nation's classrooms and workplaces, just as we did during the last Congress. Our record for the 113th Congress speaks for itself. The committee issued more than 200 oversight letters, convened 70 hearings, moved 29 legislative proposals to the House, and sent to the President's desk 12 bills that are now the law of the land. A number of these legislative achievements required a lot of hard work on some very tough issues. But thanks to our leadership, workers have a stronger, more accountable job training system. Students enjoy low interest rates on the federal Stafford loans. Low-income families have access to safe and affordable child care services. And retirees and multi-employer pension plans have greater income security. It is our responsibility to build on this progress in the weeks and months ahead. There is no question we have plenty of work to do, whether it's replacing No Child Left Behind, modernizing multi-employer pension plans, reforming our juvenile justice system, conducting aggressive oversight, or tackling one of the many other important issues before the committee. I'm eager to work closely with members on both sides of the aisle and help lead these efforts. Each Congress, we're privileged to serve alongside a dedicated and principled group of men and women, and this Congress is no different. I would like to take a moment to introduce to the committee our new Republican members. Representative Dave Bratt of Virginia, Representative Buddy Carter of Georgia, Representative Mike Bishop of Michigan, Representative Glenn Grotham of Wisconsin, Representative Steve Russell of Oklahoma, Representative Carlos Curbelo of Florida, Representative Elise Stefanik of New York, and last, but certainly not least, Representative Rick Allen of Georgia. On behalf of the committee veterans, we're pleased to have you with us. Speaking of committee veterans, I also want to recognize the members who will serve as subcommittee chairs. The committee's success is due in no small part to those who lead our subcommittees, and I'm pleased to announce Representatives Todd Rokita, Virginia Fox, Phil Rowe, and Tim Walberg will continue to serve in their previous capacities as these chairs. Thank you for your service. The committee continues to work through subcommittee member assignments, and those will be announced at a later time. Finally, I'd like to congratulate the committee's new ranking member, who was here before I was today. I felt a tremor in the force field out there, Bobby Scott. Mr. Scott has served the people of Virginia's 3rd Congressional District for more than 20 years, and he's no stranger to the committee. He's a dedicated public servant, and I look forward to working with him and his staff. And with that, I will now recognize the aforementioned Bobby Scott for his opening remarks.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for the very kind introduction. I look forward to working with you on the committee. As you've indicated, I've been on the committee since my arrival in 1993 with a 2-year leave of absence to be on the Budget Committee a few years ago, and consider it a privilege to follow George Miller as the ranking member. I'd like to join Chairman Klein in welcoming the new and returning members to the committee, and I've had the honor with working with some of you for many years and look forward to working with the new colleagues. And I'll introduce the Democratic colleagues, but first would like to give a recognition to my new Virginia colleague, Dave Bratt, who represents the adjoining district in Virginia. Representative Hakeem Jeffries has represented New York's 8th District since 2013. He served in the New York State Assembly and was a successful attorney before coming to Congress. Representative Catherine Clark has represented Massachusetts' 5th District since 2013. Before coming to Congress, she served in the Massachusetts State Senate and State House for 5 years, and she was General Counsel for the Massachusetts Office of Child Care Services before that. Representative Alma Adams represents North Carolina's 12th District since the special election last November. She got her start serving on the Greensboro City School Board as well as Greensboro City Council. She served 10 years in the North Carolina State House of Representatives. And Representative Mark DeSaulnier represents California's 11th District and is a veteran of California politics. He served in the Concord City Council and as Mayor of Council and in the California State Assembly and State Senate. Mr. Chairman, we serve on a committee that affects everyday life. Our jurisdiction touches everyone in our country, from students and children to older Americans, from employers to working families. What we do or don't do in these chambers will have real implications for millions of Americans. And in the 114th Congress, I look forward to our committee taking an evidence-based approach to addressing issues of the day, using research to ground policy solutions that can hopefully generate some bipartisan agreement. We have important work to do over the next 2 years. We have major reauthorizations, such as the Elementary and Secondary Education Act and the Higher Education Act, and a number of issues which we must attend to, not the least of which include providing quality early child care and education for families across the country, overcoming the achievement gap that still exists between poor and minority children and their more affluent peers, and helping to prevent students from dropping out of school, providing healthy, nutritious food for children in schools nationwide, helping all interested students, especially those from minority and low-income families, to have access to affordable, quality higher education, reforming our juvenile justice system to dismantle the school-to-prison pipeline, raising the minimum wage so that no one who works full-time has to live in poverty, protecting and strengthening the rights of workers to collectively bargain and have a voice on the job, strengthening worker protections and defending civil rights of workers, including fighting against discrimination and supporting diversity in the workplace, and strengthening and fully implementing the Affordable Care Act in order to ensure that all families have the ability to access quality, affordable health care coverage. So we have a big job in front of us. And the challenges we face are many, but so are the opportunities to make a real difference for students, families, and workers. As we've seen in recent years, we must make a serious effort to work together across party lines if we hope to resolve any issues. It has been my experience that working in a bipartisan way is often the key to legislative success. And if we agree that evidence and research should be the basis of our policies, many partisan conflicts can be avoided because many good-sounding partisan slogans are not supported by research. Furthermore, Mr. Chairman, regular order has value because the deliberative approach allows for the development of a record that shows what the evidence is. I believe that we can find common goals and common ground to get things done, and I look forward to working with you and members of the committee on both sides of the aisle to make sure that this is a productive and successful Congress for the American people. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I yield back.
Thank the gentleman. And I, too, am looking forward to working with members on both sides of the aisle to face, as you said, some really big challenges for America. The committee will now proceed to the consideration of the committee rules for amendment. The committee print of the committee rules is in each of your folders, and without objection, the committee print will be considered as read and open for amendment at any point, and any amendment offered shall be considered as read. I now recognize myself for 5 minutes to explain the rules. The proposed rules package includes relatively few changes from the 113th Congress. However, one change that merits mention concerns the swearing in of witnesses at each hearing, whether it be a hearing convened by the full committee or one of our 4 subcommittees. It is already a federal crime for a witness to provide materially false statements to Congress. However, it has come to the attention of legal experts in Congress that the Department of Justice has updated its interpretation of the False Statements Act to require that the witness must know that making a materially false statement is a crime. House rules already authorize committee chairs to administer oaths to witnesses. A committee does not need explicit authorization in its own rules in order to administer oaths to witnesses. Nevertheless, in the 113th Congress, 14 of the 20 committees included in their rules similar language found in the House rules. Therefore, moving forward, our committee rules will reflect this best practice. Section 7 of the proposed committee rules will use identical language found in the House rules, which states, quote, "The chair of the committee or a member designated by the chair may administer oaths to witnesses." Members have the right to expect witnesses to provide this committee and Congress with truthful information. This change to the rules will ensure all witnesses are clearly apprised of their legal responsibility to do just that. All committees have been encouraged to adopt this practice, and I urge my colleagues to support this update to our rules. Does any member want to comment on the package, or does any member seek recognition to offer an amendment? Mr. Scott.
Chairman, move to strike the last word.
The gentleman is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't intend to oppose the rules change since it is merely adding the standing House rule to our committee rules. I do want to express some concern about the practice of swearing in witnesses. In oversight hearings, we have exercised the discretion to have witnesses testify under oath because, frankly, we usually expect conflicting testimony on factual issues. And I think this practice has worked well, but when we're asking in a general hearing where we're asking for opinions, I think we should be careful not to do anything that will chill free expression of opinions. So I would hope that, although I don't oppose the rules, I would hope the chairman and subcommittee chairs will give due consideration to the idea that just because it's in the rules doesn't mean we have to do it every time, and to use discretion particularly in hearings where opinions are sought, not factual testimony. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
I thank the gentleman. I understand his concerns. This committee has not, as a practice over the years, administered the oaths. The new interpretation and the House rules have put some pressure to do that, and I think we have to be careful. If we're selective, then it's, well, why are you swearing me in and not them? And so this is new territory for us. We will be extremely careful explaining to the witnesses, whether they're Republican witnesses or Democrat witnesses, that there's nothing personal in this. This is a change to the rules, and we'll see how it goes. Any member wish to offer an amendment? Boy, I like this. I'm skipping through pages here. A lot of pages. I like this. Okay. The question is now on adopting the committee rules. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed signify by saying no. The ayes do indeed appear to have it. The ayes have it, and the motion is agreed to. The committee rules are adopted. The chair notes for the record that a quorum is present, and I now recognize Mr. Wilson.
I ask unanimous consent that staff be authorized to make necessary and technical changes to the committee print of the committee rules.
Without objection, so ordered. The committee will now proceed to the consideration of the Oversight Plan for amendment. The committee print of the Oversight Plan is in each of your folders, and without objection, the committee print will be considered as read and open for amendment at any point, and any amendment offered shall be considered as read. I now recognize myself for 5 minutes to explain the Oversight Plan. Oversight is a critical tool to hold the federal government accountable to the American people. Whether it's exposing misuse of taxpayer dollars, pushing back against executive overreach, or simply examining ways to improve existing policies and programs, the committee will continue to put aggressive oversight at the forefront of its agenda. The Oversight Plan outlines a number of priorities, such as examining how the health care law is impacting schools and workplaces, holding the National Labor Relations Board accountable for its agenda, and highlighting opportunities for the federal government to operate more efficiently and effectively. I believe the proposed oversight agenda reflects the priorities of this committee and the American people, and I urge its adoption. Any member seek? Mr. Scott, you recognize.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to thank you and your staff for working with us on the proposed oversight plan. We received an original draft and had several suggested changes, and many of those were, in fact, incorporated in the draft before, in the document before us now. I hope that we can continue to work in a cooperative bipartisan fashion in the future whenever possible. So it's also my hope that the committee will consider conducting oversight on some issues that are not specifically mentioned in the plan, such as juvenile justice and workplace safety. I believe the committee could benefit in reviewing those issues as well. And with that, Mr. Chairman, it's not my intent to oppose the plan, and I yield back the balance of my time.
I thank the gentleman, and he's made some good points. Clearly, we'll be conducting oversight in areas that are not specifically spelled out in the plan, and you've offered a couple of suggestions there. Any other members seeking recognition? If not, the question is now on adopting the oversight plan. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed signify by saying no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it, and the motion is agreed to. The oversight plan is adopted. The chair notes for the record that a quorum is present, and I now recognize Mr. Wilson.
I ask unanimous consent that staff be authorized to make necessary and technical changes to the committee print of the committee oversight plan.
Without objection, so ordered. With no further business, the committee stands adjourned.